Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Tougies Take Podcast. We are back again to talk about everything that's happened in the wonderful world of ice hockey. Well, not everything. It's an NHL-focused podcast. But an AHL goalie scored a goal, so that was cool. And that's about as much discussion as we can have on that. We're back again! It's good to see you. Hope you're well. Mr. Endo Mills is here alongside me. Forgetting that there's also audio to this podcast, not just a video podcast.
Agreeable grunt. Hi.
And Mr. Sin for the win here as well.
I am here.
Yes. Yes, you are. And we are going to talk primarily playoffs today, of course. The first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs nearly coming to an end. So we're going to spend the vast majority of today's show discussing that. Of course, if you missed the episode earlier this week on Tuesday, covered some of the other topics that happened. The Montreal Canadiens winning the draft lottery, which for a second I thought they didn't. It was a glorious moment. You know, sometimes you just look like a fool. That's one of those things that happens. But if you don't want to look like a fool this summer, make sure to use code Tougie at manscaped.com for 20% off your order and free worldwide shipping. Manscaped, of course, the lovely sponsor of the Tougies Take Podcast. We thank them. We thank you. Of course, head to toe, send a Mills nose. They got you covered. Whether it be the lovely circular deodorant,
Miracle.
if you need to shave your head, your fucking chest. It's hair removal, man. You can use it wherever the hell you want. We ain't gonna judge. Do what you gotta do to look your best this summer. Because why not? Again, it's time to start looking your best. It's 80 goddamn degrees here. I am practically melting. Yep. But do I look my best? Yes, and unfortunately this is my best, but I try. Manscaped.com. Code Tougie. You know the deal. At this point, and again, we thank Manscaped very, very much for their generosity and their offer. Gentlemen, that was the best segue that I had. It's all downhill from here. We have two non-playoff topics to discuss, and then we're going to get right into talking about the playoffs, because we did ask for viewer questions. They were, of course, all related to the playoffs in the natural course of discussion anyway, so it's like, let's just go for it. So it might actually be a bit of a shorter show, which means in 2 hours we'll still be talking.
How about asking some non-hockey questions, you fucks?
What's your favorite cereal?
There you go. Hard-hitting topics.
Why is it Captain Crunch, and how cut up is the roof of your mouth?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Man, I did not like Captain
was
Crunch.
great. Oh, fuck.
I hated it. I couldn't eat it. I just couldn't.
Good.
All right, well, screw it. Here we are. Let's do it. Endo Mills' favorite cereal. Go.
So like, as a kid or like now?
Both.
Both? Okay, as a kid, I really like Fruit Loops. And then I started to stop eating cereal right when they had that Crave cereal, where it's like the chocolates inside the cereal and like all that, fucking.
Thanks, Crave, for ruining cereal.
Yeah, and then now it's just what I'll do is I like Frosted Flakes, but it's too much fucking sugar on there. So what I'll do is I'll get Corn Flakes, and then I'll go get sugar and I'll put it on my fucking cereal. Because they cloud it over top like crazy. And what I'll do instead is I like.
How do we make Frosted Flakes appealable to kids? It's just a dump truck of sugar backing into the plant.
Yeah, and like now what I'll do is, because I want to get like other stuff in there, is I won't buy Vector cereal, is I'll buy Corn Flakes and I'll buy the Vector mix or grain mix and just have that in there instead. Think smart.
There you go. Sim for the win. Favorite cereal then and now.
I had a few different ones growing up. For a while, I was hooked on Apple Jacks. Like, Apple Jacks were my shit for like a full year of school. And I loved Lucky Charms, but my mom wouldn't buy it all the time because obviously just fucking marshmallows. You eat it. My sister had a way. She would eat all the marshmallows first. I was smart. I would eat all the Cheerio shit first, and then just have pure marshmallows at the end. Beautiful. But yeah, now I keep it pretty simple. You know, Honey Nut Cheerios are, if I get cereal, that's my go-to. Honey Nut Cheerios with like vanilla soy milk kicks ass. kicks ass. Or almond milk.
There you go. For me, I mean, you guys mentioned too, as a child that were up there, I was a big Cinnamon Toast Crunch fan. I was a big fan of Reese's Puffs. They got me. Now I think they're kind of.
You remember the
now I
brief
think they're
amount
kind of
time
mid.
where they had the Rice Krispie treat cereal, and then I never see that anymore. That was bomb.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. It freaking just blew Endo's mind bringing
Yeah.
that.
It's like in the back of my mind. And then they brought
sorry
back
to
the
cut you off
Oreo
there,
O's
Tougie.
cereal.
It's okay.
And I got Endo going, so double sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, God. There's one other cereal that I had as a kid that's just not coming to mind, unfortunately. I will say my top cereal now, I am still a big fan of Cheerios. Honey Bunches of Oats. Elite. Absolutely elite. And my go-to nowadays. Yeah, I can't think of... Maybe, God.
Chex?
Shout out to Raisin Bran Crunch. Dude, I'm a big cereal guy. Raisin Bran Crunch, even like Cinnamon Life is fucking delicious.
Yeah, you seem like a Raisin Bran kind of guy.
Raisin Bran Crunch specifically.
You got 2 scoops of fruit.
Yeah, 2 scoops of fruit.
Don't call them 2 scoops Tougie for nothing. It's fucking
2
stupid.
scoops.
Everybody's good
Oh my god.
scoops of fruit.
All right, next question from Tougie. We covered breakfast. Favorite lunch item at school?
Ooh.
Sin for the win.
Oh,
What
dude.
was your favorite lunch? You
Like,
could say from home if you were
served
one of
at
those
school?
kids.
Oh,
I'm gonna say more served at school.
yeah.
What?
It depends.
What did your school knock out of the
Well,
park?
there's several things. I mean, there's several different tiers. You had elementary school, middle school, and then like high school. They all had different stuff. Elementary
That's
school,
true.
they used to have these like little fucking pizza things that were just in a tinfoil tray. Awful, but it was so good. It was so good. At least it's probably terrible now. Middle school, I used to get cup of noodles, just fucking thing a cup of noodles for like $1, and then get like a hot thing of hot Cheetos out of the vending machine. That was tits. At my high school, they had a burrito that it's called the Live Oak Burrito, which is the name of the school I went to. It was so good, man. It was a massive fucking burrito that was actually really good, and that was my thing in high school.
Endo Mills. Now, see, this is why I asked this. Is number one, just gives us something to talk about. Secondly, I am presuming you two went to much, much larger schools than I did in terms of the student population.
Yeah,
But
public school my whole life. Yeah.
Yeah, well, same thing for me, but like elementary, middle school, high school, always capped out at a couple hundred.
Oh wow.
You know, like, and I imagine like I hear Sin like, yeah, I grew up in California, so I'm like, oh, you had like thousands of people.
It was a smaller town, but yeah, I mean, it was still like a town of like 30,000 pop, and it wasn't until my class went into high school that we finally had 2 high schools. So yeah, there was a solid amount of people at each.
Endo Mills, your top lunch at school.
So, it's a little bit weird because in
Something.
what?
A story from you? A little bit weird?
Yeah, a
What?
little bit weird. No, Toronto is different because not a lot of schools provided lunches for you, except for like pizza lunches and stuff like that. I really didn't get a provided lunch, like, because I know like in the U.S. and stuff like that, they'll have like stuff from the schools and everything. The only thing that was provided from the school was pizza lunch. That's it. And like you bring your own lunches and all that. It wasn't until like high school that I started to, you know, find my own lunches and all that, and for the school
I had to pay
cafeteria.
at high school, just FYI.
Yeah.
Yeah, high school for me, they had like the a la carte option.
Yeah, we had.
It's like you got to pay for everything on that though. It's like otherwise you can go for the trash they
Yeah,
provide.
I'm pretty sure we paid in elementary school and shit, but we just had a little card that you'd slide through a thing.
You guys.
God, they got you. They got you guys fucking.
Christ.
They fucking hammered capitalism into
Oh,
your
yeah.
head early.
Oh,
Holy
yeah.
fuck!
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Oh yeah.
Oh man.
Oh
So
my
like my
God.
favorite was during high school. There was a convenience store next to where I went to school, and this place would sell lunches $5. The greasiest fucking noodles you'd ever eat in your life with like General Tao chicken, sweet and sour chicken, bunch of that, like that kind of food, like all there, $5 a pop. You just want a bunch of noodles, maybe like $2.50. It was the greatest thing ever. The best part about that store is that if you brought them TTC tickets, like transit tickets, you could resell it to them and you'd get money back. So people who would get money from the school would take that money. So let's say, for example, transit fare was $2. You would take your strips to them, and for that $2, you get $1.50. So people would grab their whole stack that they'd get, because people live far away, and some people who live under certain conditions get free transportation provided by the school. But these kids they're fucking like 9 to 12, grade 9 to 12.
So they took the free tickets and got money.
And they flipped it. Okay. And then they grabbed lunch or whatever.
Because it's like, I don't think buying something for $2 and selling for $1.50 is profitable, but you know.
But
now
when you
that
have
you
such a
explained
large
that they're
amount,
free. Well, no, now that they explained that you're free, no, doesn't matter if the amount, if it's still $2 a piece for $1.50.
Yeah,
but yeah,
like I lived like very close too, but I would sometimes get tickets from like my grandma and stuff like that, just because like, oh, you know, you never know when you need it. I'm like, yeah, I know when I need it, and I just grab a muffin for like $1.50 too. It's great.
So you ate the tickets. I was just wondering, we went from lunch to flipping tickets.
Yeah, I know.
Because that was a lot of times I could like grab lunch. Was like, why would I want to spend my money when I can just flip the system?
Fucking Ontario, it's always a hustle, huh?
Oh
Jesus
yeah, they put that in you early. Kind of like with the capitalism with what's in.
But it's a hustle from getting free shit from your government. It must be nice.
There you go.
Well, you got to use the system somehow.
Oh yeah, we don't have a system. We don't have one.
It's true. Oh God. I was a basic bitch for lunch, man. You know. Oh shit, it's chicken nugget day. Beautiful. I will say, my elementary school ruined stuffed crust pizza for me for almost a decade. Just like soggy stuffed crust pizza cut into squares. Like, oh, it was pretty rough. By high school, they figured out how to fucking make pizza though, so that was great. But yeah, real basic bitch, but you guys were able to carry the weight there for that particular question. I don't have any other food questions.
Yeah, let's move on to hockey.
I thought you were gonna say I like a tuna sandwich and like eggs.
Okay, who actually fucking ate the school tuna sandwich?
Absolutely not. If I'm having a tuna sandwich, I'm getting it from home.
I wouldn't touch that with I wouldn't eat that with your mouth. Like, no. Fuck. And half the time they mix in the fucking celery or whatever the fuck with it, and it's just like, what are you?
Put the hummus on the middle of the celery stick or whatever.
What hummus?
You never had what?
I've had hummus, but what school? Like we grew up in two different areas, Endo. Like
we all did.
You can tell
you're getting
if a school has hummus, you can tell what kind of like locale the area it is.
God. Oh.
I didn't fucking have hummus until I graduated high school.
You probably had organic fruits and veggies and
you know what?
Free public transportation. Good lord.
Yeah. Oh, fucking yuppies, I swear to God.
Beautiful.
No
I love finding out how different our upbringings were. It's a fun time. We'll continue to explore. There you go, everybody. For further questions.
And sometimes the limo would be late to pick you up with the hummus.
And can you believe they wanted my full $250,000 tuition up front? Like, what the fuck?
Just transfer from my Swiss bank account.
Jeez. So if you have any questions, as always, make sure to join the Discord. It's in the description no matter what you're watching or listening on. We will talk about hockey after almost 20 minutes of total nonsense. Two things, as I mentioned, for non-playoff topics. First and foremost, gentlemen, a round of applause to the Vancouver Canucks, who are apparently going to bring back Bruce Boudreau.
Good for them. What the fuck was all the
good for them indeed.
In the media, that was weird.
The fact that it even apparently was going to trend towards a negotiation standpoint of will he come back, will he won't. He had a .649 winning percentage over 57 games with the Canucks, who were in the dirt when he was brought on. Ridiculous. But at least they were smart enough to bring him back. That is tremendous news for Canucks fans. You know, I think you look at, you know, some of the decisions that they face in the short term. The word was out there apparently that they're already looking at trying to move on from Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Patrick Alvan's like, what the fuck did you do, Bim Jennings? I want this contract gone. Of course, the JT Miller thing is going to be looming overhead. He's got 1 year left at 5.25 after finishing top 10 in scoring. So they got some big decisions to make, and I think the least they could do was have that stability of Bruce Boudreau being there when he got that team to perform as well as they did.
Yeah, he was. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. The buy-in obviously speaks for itself. Like, that team did a complete 180, and he obviously figured something out. It's nuts to me that they're even entertaining the possibility of him not being back. Like, cool, new coach and all. Why would you give up a .65 essentially winning percentage for an unknown? That is so bizarre that they even entertained that. And God, I just hope the relationship between Boudreau and the new management wasn't soured in any way by that, because that's something that could easily put you off as a coach, like being like, what the fuck? Like, I just did that and you got no faith in me? Like, come on. Anyway.
Absolutely. So, again, a good result, I would say, for Canucks fans, and what's going to be an interesting offseason. And in terms of our other little topic, the finalists for 3 more awards were handed out. Of course, we already knew the Vezina finalists. The Hart Trophy final 3, Austin Matthews, Igor Shesterkin, and Connor McDavid. I said Shesterkin was probably in the running for the Hart. I could still see a situation where he wins it, but at the same time, John Cooper of the Tampa Bay Lightning had a fair point when he was asked who he thought would win the Hart. He said, well, it's really tough to score 60 goals in this league. I kind of think that this goes to Austin Matthews this year, but then again, Connor McDavid led the league in points. So
it's a tough call. This is probably one of the toughest Hart discussions we've had, because there's 3 up there who are probably worthy of it and who do 3 different things, essentially. So how do you quantify the complete difference of play into winning this award and what's more valuable? Technically, yes, goals are more valuable, but also Connor McDavid carries the Oilers on his fucking back. Shesterkin carries the Oilers on his back playing the hardest position. But it's also, again, how do you compare save percentage to total points or goals? It's so tough. I think to be fair, they're probably going to give like Matthews like the Hart. McDavid obviously automatically wins the Art Ross. Probably will get the Ted Lindsay, and then Shesterkin should get the Vezina. I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to go, because they want to be fair and nice.
Along with that, the Ted Lindsay finalists are Yossi, Matthews, and McDavid. So for me, how I'd like to see this play out: Shesterkin gets the Vezina, Yossi gets the Norris, give Matthews the Hart, and give McDavid the Ted Lindsay.
Absolutely, but
there you go.
Fair.
Yep.
Like,
Done.
in terms of proper recognition for everybody, that works out, because Matthews, the MVP, and then the Ted Lindsay, of course, is for, quote, the NHL's most outstanding player in the regular season as judged by the members of the NHLPA. So Connor McDavid should probably win that one.
Yeah.
Because he is. Like, he's gonna win. He should win that pretty much every fucking year till his retirement, or until he ever declines.
Yeah.
Like, because he is the best player in the world.
Yeah.
They could have an argument where it's like, well, Austin Matthews broke a record. It's like, Connor McDavid can't break a Gretzky record. I'm going to say that flat out.
He might.
A single season record?
Yeah,
no, not going to happen.
Oh yeah, not a single season. Like, career-wise,
single season,
maybe, but that's, I don't know. It's still a tall order.
Yeah, most of those records are
The fact that
outright
he's like
untouchable.
still being compared as like that caliber of a player, because he is, you have to give him that award every year, without a doubt.
The final award that we know the nominees for right now is the Calder. Unsurprisingly, Toronto's Michael Bunting, Detroit's Moritz Seider, and Anaheim's Trevor Zegras. It's Moritz Seider.
It has to be.
Pretty much, hands down.
For a rookie defenseman to get 50 points and put up the numbers he did, not playing sheltered minutes, like, holy crap, dude. Like, he was good.
On that team as well, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, on a pretty rough team where it's like, hey, what a great selection of defense partners you might get to have.
Was he playing with DeKaiser? Like, holy crap.
It might have been DeKaiser. Like, the best defenseman you could possibly play with on the team is Philip Hronik, who's fine.
Yeah,
he's fine.
He's fine, but
he's not bad.
He's like a 3-4 guy. Like, on... That's how I would judge.
on a good team, he is second pair at best.
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to look it up for Moritz Seider and how many minutes he played this season. Hockey Reference will have the... Okay. Boys, over, under, whoever... Price is Right rules. Whoever's the closest without going over here. How many minutes did Moritz Seider average this season as a rookie?
28.5.
Endo Mills.
30.
Okay, well, you're both over. That's a shame. But still, 23 minutes a night.
That's still a lot.
As a rookie.
Why did I go so high?
Because again, that's just kind of already
I was
the expectation.
Burns and Carlson. I was like, they play a lot.
I just went like the big number because the big number looked good.
I am going to try and find the average or the highest average time on ice. I don't know. I mean, it's Hockey Reference. They should very, very much have that, but I can't find it. So I'd be very intrigued to see where Moritz Seider stands in that regard.
That's crazy. That should be
accessible stat. To total time on ice. Yeah, I'm trying to find it really quickly. And I'll see if I can get back to you on that one. But in terms of this award, it is Moritz Seider for sure. And actually, I found it. There we go. Shout out to Hockey Reference. They do have it, from what I can tell. Is that from this year? It is. NHL skater time on ice statistics. Average even strength time on ice. It's 22 minutes a night for Thomas Chabot. I'm trying to see where Seider was in terms of 5-on-5, so I guess he got some power play time. So Seider averaged 18 minutes of 5-on-5 time a night, which puts him top 68, actually. Interesting. But obviously, too, a good amount of shorthanded time.
Yeah.
He averaged almost 2 minutes of shorthanded time a night, 3 minutes of power play time. I can't find the total time, but... Regardless, hopefully somebody can find it. I'd be very intrigued to know. But in terms of this award, I mean, the big talking point is the fact that Michael Bunting barely qualifies from all, standards of qualification. I said as much on Twitter. I wanted your thoughts on this. I, much like the Norris Trophy, would like to see two different awards. In the Norris, I think you can have, again, it's been pointed out, have the fucking Bobby Orr Award for the defender that leads the league in points, and then have the Norris for the best overall defenseman. For the rookies, have best 23 and under, and then have outright Rookie of the Year, MLB style. I don't care if someone is 35 years old. If that was your rookie season, that was your rookie season, and you should qualify. Like Vadim Shipachyov coming over from the KHL. If he stayed with Vegas and had a great year, give him the fucking award. He was the best rookie. Yeah. I think it's kind of ridiculous to be, these guys had experience in men's league. Austin Matthews had experience in a men's league.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a rule on whether or not somebody, if you played pro hockey elsewhere in a big-time men's league, you're not eligible for the Calder, then Austin Matthews wouldn't have been eligible. He played for the ZSC Lions in Switzerland.
Then Seider would be ineligible. Half of the guys who come from fucking Sweden, Europe,
would be ineligible.
Everyone would be ineligible. More than 50% of the NHL population would not be eligible for that. Yeah.
Yes, if they considered the DEL one of those major leagues, which they should. I mean, if it's in NHL 22, it's a major league. Let's put it that way. Think about how many players that would... I mean, shit, Seider played in Germany for Mannheim and for Rokla in the SHL. Yeah. He's double disqualified. Give it to Michael Bunting.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea of trying to disqualify. I get the idea of Artemi Panarin came over and won the Calder. He only won it because Austin Matthews got hurt. Otherwise, they definitely would have given it to Austin Matthews. Or not Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid that year, excuse me. I don't like that ruling at all. So if it's such a problem for somebody older to win it, have a specific award for 23, 24 and under as the best young player, but then also have best rookie in its pure form of, is this your rookie season in the NHL? Cool, you're the Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I like it. I think we need a lot more awards, because much like the NHL rulebook, so much is up for interpretation. Make them fucking sense.
Very, very true.
Yep.
And I honestly, I don't think it waters down the award either.
And honestly, I could even see 3 different awards for defensemen. Like, I could see, like, the Bobby Orr, like you said, and the Norris, the best all-around, and then shout out the best defensive defenseman out there, you know? Like, call it the... I don't know if I found... Call it...
The Scott Niedermayer Award.
No, he was a great OFT, though.
He was.
Yeah, I don't know. But, like, I would love, you know, something like that. But, yeah, at minimum, 2 different awards for defensemen.
I'm trying to think who I would name that. The Mark-Edouard Vlasic Award.
Jesus.
The Mark-Edouard Vlasic Sub-32 Award. Prior to Pre-32 Award. Or the, yeah, like
I mean, fuck it. He's about to retire.
Like
The Zdeno Chara Award.
Yeah.
Tallest man every year.
Give it to the tallest person.
Next year, Curtis Douglas, baby.
My
yeah,
God.
let's go.
Curtis Douglas to the moon. Oh, so with that, let's talk some playoffs, as we should. We will start off in the Western Conference this time, gentlemen, with the most recent series to come to a close as the St. Louis Blues eliminate the Minnesota Wild in 6 games. They won Game 5 by the score of 5-2, and Game 6 by the score of 5-1, despite the fact that they switched from Marc-Andre Fleury to Cam Talbot just to try and spark something, and it simply did not work. For the Blues, they will play the Colorado Avalanche in round 2. Holy hell, am I looking forward to that series. Whew. Now, you know, for the Blues, I mean, look, you know, we talked about it when we broke down their lineup, man. That team's a wagon. It is. Like, defensively, you know, you might feel much more confident about it. They still had someone like a Pietrangelo there instead of, oh, I don't know, Cap Friendly has their second pair listed as Justin Falk and Leafs legend Callie Rosen.
Who?
Uh-huh. But, you know, what's funny is they turned back to Jordan Binnington after Husso struggles, and Binnington finishes the series with 3 appearances and a .943 save percentage. If Jordan Binnington can play to the best of his abilities, that team stays healthy, there is a more than realistic shot that they could beat Colorado. Like, this is not a walk in the park for the Avs, and I think, unfortunately, Minnesota probably not able to take as much gas out of the tank of the Blues as a whole as they would have preferred.
Yeah, I think, I can't remember if I said Blues in 6 or 7, but I know for a fact I really thought the Wild would do a little bit better and be able to win a bit more. And now, especially as they're heading into, as you know, cap hell with $15 million of dead cap, essentially. It's not looking good for the Wild, and I wonder if Kaprizov's going to be out the door.
So that's the big talking point for Minnesota. It's only a year, but man, did it look like this year was that window of opportunity.
It had to be. Like, it literally had to be because of what they're going to be into in the next 3 years.
You look at this offseason now, technically for Marc-Andre Fleury, they only gave up a second-round pick rather than a first because of their early exit, so they technically have a draft pick in every round except for the 7th this year, so that's not that bad. But what we knew was looming overhead was not only Kevin Fiala being an RFA. Again, that's probably the biggest contract that they have to worry about, and of course what will happen with Marc-Andre Fleury, presuming he leaves. $2 million in retained salary comes off the books for Victor Rask. Okay, that's not bad.
Yeah.
We all knew this was coming. The buyouts for Suter and Parise. This year, they counted for about $4.8 million against the cap. That's not too bad. You can manage that. Do you guys remember what it jumps up to?
I think it's like
for this upcoming season,
like $15 million.
It's $12.7 million for this upcoming season,
Okay.
and then for 2023-24, and then 24-25. So the 2 seasons after, it jumps up to 14.7 for both of those seasons before dropping down to a much more manageable 1.6.
Literally can only spend to the cap floor almost in that case because of all the dead cap. That's off. Like you have to tank essentially. Like
yeah,
how do you you can hold on to Kaprizov, but he has no one to play with, and he's gonna be ooh man.
it's one of those things where it's like you better hope you've drafted well and have good players coming up in the system, because otherwise, oof. You know, I
Who's that
am.
kid they have?
They drafted Marco Rossi.
Boldy too.
Matt Boldy joined the team this year and looked phenomenal.
So he's got 2 more entry levels, right? Or 2 more.
I'm looking at finding his deal. Yes, 1 more.
Ooh.
Next year is the last year of his ELC.
That sucks. You wanted 2 more for him, because then you could give him like a nice little bridge and still fit under. He might still take a 2-year bridge, but yeah, depends on how much he likes Minnesota.
Yeah, so you have, Kaprizov at $9 million, Zuccarello at $6 million, Eric Sinek at $5.25 million, Fiala RFA, Marcus Foligno at 3.1, which is a pretty good deal, but then Jordan Greenway is getting $3 million starting next year. That's a bit pricey. They do have Ryan Hartman for 1.7, and his deal's not up until the end of the 2024 season, so that based off of how well he's played, that's not bad. Defensively, Spurgeon makes 7.5, Brodin makes 6, both good deals. Matt Dumba makes 6. Last year of his deal coming up, they're going to want to get rid of that deal badly to free up some space. I'm intrigued. There's, as we always say when we kind of recap what a team can do heading into an off season. Minnesota is perhaps, we said it even for Vancouver, a few minutes ago, but I'm very, very intrigued by Minnesota here because, it's very tough, and I think if you looked on social media at all, a lot of apathy from that fan base because the Minnesota sports scene in general, with the Wild and the Vikings and the Twins, it's just been one, and the Timberwolves for that matter, who made the playoffs this year, it's just been one constant dick punch for fans of Minnesota sports. Like, they cannot catch a break. I think what was it? The last time a team was in a championship game, the Cold War was still going on.
Jesus.
Some shit like that. Like, it's been a long time, man. And for the Wild, you have all that hope and optimism. It's literally the best. It's literally the best that the Wild have been. Best season in their history, with the best player in their history with Kirill Kaprizov, and they still fell short. And tell me if you've heard that before. Sorry, had to do it. We'll talk about them in a minute. But yeah, I just don't quite know where they go. Because then again, think about that. Like, think about how I'm tempted to use them in NHL 22 now. I have it planned out for where I'm going franchise mode wise, but they're going to be one of the most intriguing teams to use even in a video game sense because, again, essentially $13 to $15 million in dead cap until the 2025-26 season. That's fucking insane.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. Like, I'm not sure what exactly they're going to do as a franchise. What I would do if I was playing NHL was I'd flip my guys who have a lot more money for guys who are on like ELCs and other teams. That's the only option you could probably do. But even then, you have to pay them eventually.
So Minnesota, Wild fans. Again, I was rooting for you in that series. It's nothing against the Blues. I think Blues fans can tell I really do like their team a lot. Despite 2019, I even said it. If the Blues were in the finals against anybody else, I would have been rooting for the Blues in that series. It's a hell of a team. I do give them a legitimate chance against Colorado. We'll talk more about that in depth once we know for sure what the finals or the next round happen to be, what the final results are of round one. And God, Wild fans, I don't know what to tell you. Bill Guerin's been a solid GM so far. He has his work cut out for him. That decision to buy out Parise and Suter helped the team short term, but to not get out of the first round again is brutal. Yeah. And of course, if you want to hear about the history of the Minnesota Wild in the playoffs, you can check out one of my more recent videos, of course, where we talked about the 5 teams that never make a cup final, Minnesota included. And unfortunately, that run continues for them. The Dallas Stars and the Calgary Flames. The Flames now have a 3-2 lead after winning Game 5 by the score of 3-1. And simply put, the Stars have no shot in this series if it was not for Jake Ottinger. JFresh put up a graphic in terms of the the goals saved above expected, or essentially, let me see if I can find this specific one, but it was essentially like, hey, how many goals has Jake Ottinger robbed? It is an absurd amount to this stage. There we go. Playoff goals saved above expected as of May 12th. Third place, Jacob Markstrom with 5.2. Second place, Mike Smith with 5.8. Jake Ottinger, 10.5. This series is done in 4 games. Yeah. If it's not for the fact that Jake Ottinger is playing out of his fucking 10.5,
we said
man.
He was the X factor or the wild card, like the only thing that could extend that series, and he absolutely has.
Oh my god!
And it's funny because in the top 3 is Markstrom. Like Markstrom's right there with a ridiculous 5.2. Like he has absolutely kept this team in it as well. And I think it's why people have almost deemed this the most boring of the series, is because the goaltenders have been absolutely unreal and leaving very few options for these goal scorers. Ottinger, despite now losing 3 games in this series, any guesses of Jake Ottinger's save percentage through 5 games?
Yeah,
945.
965.
956. So split the difference just about. Fucking insanity, man.
Oh my god.
Absolute insanity. And Endo mentioned contract situation.
Yeah.
It is the last year of his ELC. So he's
paid. He's about to make bank.
Now here's the thing. Jordan Binnington won a Stanley Cup. Odds are against Dallas of doing that right now, but Binnington made 6. Ottinger gets no less than 3, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's gonna be
like, even if it's like a two-year deal for $3 million just as a bridge, like,
oh yeah, they're gonna bridge him.
He's gonna get paid. Yeah. So, Game 6 is tonight. Do the Flames cap off this series? That is the question. Do the Flames finish this off tonight? Potentially setting up a Battle of Alberta in the second round. We'll talk about that. Or do you think this goes 7? Endo Mills, we'll throw to you first. Yeah, or not. No. Go ahead. Well, no, I wasn't sure. When you guys are just like, who's going to talk first? I'm like, fuck it, Endo, you talk.
Yeah, I think it's going to go 7. It's going to go 7, and they're going to still win it. I don't know. There's been way too many Game 7s in this so far. Like, the East, you have like 3 Game 7s going on. 3.
Yeah.
The West, you're gonna have maybe like 2 more. I just see it going that way. I just see them just going Game 7, and then I don't know who's gonna win it. I want Ottinger to win because I want him to get paid. I love seeing a goalie get paid. Woo! Especially when they deserve it. Yeah. I want them to take it, but then again, you can't doubt out the Flames. The Flames won't blow a lead like the Leafs do. So
that's it.
I think the Flames have got to have it, man. Like they can't. They got to find a way to get to Ottinger, and they got to do it. Like, yeah, they don't want that to go to 7, man. That's just plain and simple. They don't want it to go to 7. And it's not. Yeah, they need to figure out a way to win, because they were really we had them winning like in 5 probably. We thought Dallas could steal a game, but dude, like the fact that they're almost, they're facing a potential Game 7 is kind of ridiculous, and it's very, very, we can see it happening too, just by the way Ottinger's playing. So yeah,
I mean, we kind of predicted that the Flames would win this in like 4 or 5 games around that area, so. Stars are already playing with house money.
Absolutely.
So, why not? Bring on another Game 7. Again, Calgary has no excuses, though. I mean, you just saw Minnesota, granted, against a really tough team, but you just saw Minnesota fall super short of expectations. If Calgary doesn't make it out of the first round, they are right back to where they were at the beginning of the year of what the hell do we do? Except you no longer get the option of trading Johnny Gaudreau because he's a UFA at the end of this.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so if they fall short here, I don't know how competitive they are next year. Matthew Tkachuk is an RFA. His bridge deal's already up. How insane is that?
Nuts.
Goodrow's a UFA. They got some big decisions to make here, and the longer the playoff run goes, the better for Calgary. So, and again, for Dallas, it's house money at this point. Everyone's kind of dumping on you and not expecting you to do much. So, it's a good spot to be in. Kind of like the LA Kings. They did win Game 5, 5-4 in overtime. But the Oilers won Game 6 last night without Darnell Nurse, who was suspended for headbutting Philip Deneau. Shout out to both Adrian Kempe and Evander Kane for taunting the crowd. Kane, though, last night, 2 more goals. He has 7 in 6 games. So, again, we never doubted Evander Kane's on-ice ability. Game 7 on Saturday. Sin between the Oilers and the Kings. You might have a frozen webcam there, buddy. But, yeah, Game 7 on Saturday. Oilers, Kings. We'll give Sin a chance to see if he's here, and if he's not, we lost him. And I think we lost him, which is okay. Endo, we'll give him a chance to reconnect. Your thoughts on this Oilers series? I'm intrigued.
It's a trash fire. This should have been an easy way for them to go through, but just like the oil sands over in Alberta, we don't know how to solve it. I don't know what they're gonna do, because they have to do this, because not only does McDavid's no trade clause, no move clause pop in next season. This is like the time where you have to sell on him that this team is actually. Oh, there you go, Sen. This team is actually gonna do something, because you are wasting a generational talent, and I guarantee you, if any team wanted Connor McDavid, they would grab him immediately. The second that someone of that echelon says, I can't do it here, I want to play somewhere else, you drop almost everything to get him. But the thing is, what do you do? Like, you get Connor McDavid, now what? Right? So as much as I want the Oilers to win, I really do, I also want to see Connor McDavid and what he does in this offseason, regardless. Tougie, I think your mic's muted.
It very much is. This turned into a technical disaster of a podcast. Connor McDavid has 4 years left at $12.5 million. Right. He has no ability to say, yeah, hey, I'm leaving. He doesn't. Jake, granted, he has more freaking stroke than Jake DeBrusk does to be like, I want to leave the Bruins, trade me. Even if Connor McDavid says, hey, trade me, the Oilers don't have to do anything.
He could refuse to play.
If you're the Oilers, then say go ahead. My opinion, at least. Unless how the hell are you going to get a fair trade offer for Connor McDavid?
Fair enough.
Go ahead and refuse to play. I wouldn't blame Connor McDavid for refusing to play if they fall short in Game 7 on Saturday, because that is a completely inexcusable loss by every metric if they were to fall short. But we don't know if that's going to happen yet. I'm sure it's not all doom and gloom. Obviously, the Oilers are going to, in theory, have momentum for this Game 7. But I'm awaiting the results of this Game 7. I can't say more than any other Game 7, but holy hell, is Saturday a gigantic day for the future of this league. What happens if the Oilers lose? What happens in the 2 Eastern Game 7s that we know of? That is a gigantic day. Very, very intrigued to kind of see what happens. All right. We got Sin back. He's back from the dark void. Sin, any final thoughts on the Oilers and the Kings? You were the one who went out on the limb to say, hey, here's what I think's going to happen. So, how you feeling?
Yeah, Kings in 7 still a real possibility. I wish they would have won Game 6. That would have been nice, just to kind of get it out of the way. But obviously, they could still win in 7. The Oilers are in still dangerous waters, and they need to understand that. And every time they win, they kind of do it with a lot of goals. The problem is if they score 3 goals, they're gonna fucking lose because they've just been too inconsistent. with their like goaltending shit. So I don't know, man. Like they got home ice, so like they got that going for them. But I still give the Kings a really, really, really good chance to win. I hope they do. Just because I predicted it, and I mean the fact that the Kings took the Oilers to Game 7 is already pretty big in my opinion. And I think a lot of people would agree with me. You look at the talent on the Oilers roster, you look at the Kings. Kings are still rebuilding. Just FYI to anyone out there who is not aware, Kings are still rebuilding. Like they don't have Doughty. As overrated as he is.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the big thing, right? Is they are without their top defenseman in this series. I mean, say what you want about the, like I said, I mentioned Darnell Nurse missing Game 6. They are without their best defenseman. Yeah. Victor Arvidsson is also injured right now, I believe. Actually, I mean, technically, Sean Walker is hurt too. You could argue, I mean, Sean Walker is a top 4 defenseman on this team? Probably. I mean, the funny thing is, this defense core, if everyone's healthy, it's actually pretty good. It's a bit underrated there for the Kings. So, yeah, if they're fully healthy, which, you know, it is what it is. You know, we'll never know. You know, do the Oilers lose this in 6? They very well might.
Yeah, and I still think the Kings could go and do it in Edmonton in 7. And I mean, they won Game 5 in Edmonton. So, you know, like they've done it before. It wasn't overtime, and it was, you know, but still, again, there's a stat I saw where it was like the Oilers, when they score like less than 5 goals or something, have lost like a ton of games in the playoffs or something. I can't.
Dude, they consistently lose games when McDavid and Draisaitl both score.
Yeah.
Like before Game 6 or something like that, it was, or maybe it was Game 4, but that was the stat of like, oh, they've lost 5 in a row when McDavid and Draisaitl both score. It's like, how is this possible?
Yeah, I saw the stat. They were like 0-16 or something in playoff games where they scored 4 or less. I can't remember how accurate it was, or I just remember seeing like, what the fuck? Like, but yeah, so I do want to kind of touch on, did you guys see the McDavid reaction? Well, his supposed reaction to Kane doing the holding up 7
I did
fingers?
not.
Yeah, yeah. It showed him on the bench getting angry, looking over towards Kane and like yelling something. And everyone's like, oh, maybe he was yelling at the refs or this other whole thing. It's like, anyway, I just wanted to kind of touch on that. I think, honestly, you can meet in the middle. I don't think McDavid's like, I think what his position is, like, why the fuck are we going to 7 against this team? Like, let's say he's angry at Kane for taunting. I think his anger is like, you know, why are you getting cocky when we just forced a Game 7 against this team?
Yeah, we're struggling enough. They don't need motivation.
Yeah. Dude, if they lose this, man, I can honestly say McDavid may begin to want to ask for a trade. He's on what year?
Yeah, Endo and I had
4 of the contract?
Yeah, he's got 4 years left, I think it was, after this.
Yeah.
Halfway through. He's halfway through.
Okay.
The Florida Panthers. Go ahead, Endo.
I was gonna say, I just looked at the clip real quickly. So it looks like he was celebrating with Evander Kane on the ice because he was on the ice when the goal happened. So he gave him props too. This is him reacting to the officials, most likely.
Okay. Well, who knows? I didn't know if you saw him holding up the 7 and he was looking at video back. I don't know. People gonna put their own twist on it, and you know, several major accounts have, you know, already made that. I was just kind of responding to that narrative, not saying that's exactly what happened. But if he was getting mad at Kane, it's like
yeah, it's fair.
We'll move to the East. The Florida Panthers and the Washington Capitals play Game 6 tonight after the Panthers won Game 5 by the score of 5-3. For the Caps, Tom Wilson still out of the lineup. For the Panthers, I still don't know if there's been word at the time of recording. It's a game-time decision on Carter Verhaeghe, which is a decent loss. I mean, he's top-line winger for them. Yeah. This has been a super weird series as well, where it was looking real rocky. Panthers down 2-1. I think, it was an overtime winner in Game 4 to kind of get back into this. I can see Florida pulling this off, but at the same time, they're in that spot of, can I really believe you until you finally win?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think for a top team, they have the most question marks. For one of those, like, the East is tough. So you look at their records, like, yeah, you did great in the regular season, but that's a meat grinder in the playoffs. The first round is an I mean, just look at me fucking game sevens. It's insane. Like, there's already two. There's already two in the East. There's potential.
3.
What's that?
Right? No. Yeah, 2 in the East. 2 in the East. You're right. Yeah.
There's potential.
Yeah, 3 confirmed each other.
Or again, at least I think the Caps could force a game 7. They're good enough. They're deep enough. It's a tight enough matchup. Hard to say about the Rangers Pens. But again, I think they all have the potential to go to 7. But yeah, it's the Panthers need to finish this now. They don't want a game 7. You play a game 7 Capitals team. I just don't think you have the stamina.
I mean, this is that statement win that they need, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, you're in Washington, game 6, chance to close out the series. This is the way to get people to believe you. I mean, the Panthers haven't won. When's the last time they won a playoff series? Like, I'm going to try to look that up right now because, I mean, obviously, like, the last time they made, or, one of the most recent, like, examples of them in the playoffs prior to, actually, I mean, I guess basically the last time I really think about, like, oh, yeah, they almost had some success. It's like you think back to, like, the Devils loss game 7. Jesus. So the recent playoff history, they lost in round 1 to the Lightning last year, lost in the qualifying round in the bubble to the Islanders in 4. It wasn't a sweep. I think it was best of 5, right? 2016, they lose to the Islanders in 6. 2012, they lose to the Devils in 7. That's what I thought. They have not won a playoff series since 1996. That's it. That is the only time that they won a playoff series, and they went all the way to the Cup final that year.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fucking yikes, man. But that history is why we say, like, okay, show us.
Yeah.
Now's the time. Prove that these aren't. Granted, this is the best Panthers team in club history. Obviously, 58 wins in the regular season is pure insanity. But they still got to prove it. And tonight's a great chance to do it. I'm going to say they get it done. But, man, kind of like Sid mentioned, if the Caps win in 7, I'm not going to be shocked.
Yeah.
On the anniversary, the 9-year anniversary of one of the most infamous playoff collapses in history, which also coincided with this man's birthday. Endo Mills, it's time to talk. Happy birthday, by the way. It's time to talk about Leafs and Lightning, as the Leafs did win Game 5, but lose Game 6, 4-3 in overtime. They were down 2-0. Then suddenly they were up 3-2 at the end of the second period. And then again, they lose it in overtime. They are now 0-8 in the Matthews-Marner era in terms of games with an attempt to close out a series.
So bad.
0-8 in elimination games with the chance to move on. A lot of things that I saw, and I know, Endo, you're not one of these type of Leafs fans. A lot of Leafs fans being like, the refs, and what about the Kaloran hold on Matthews? And they didn't want to decide the game with a penalty, so they decided it without. It's like, look.
Don't go down 2-0.
Don't go down 2-0.
Yeah.
Take advantage of dominating that overtime up until the goal against.
Yeah.
People are making fun of the Matthews trip. I don't think he was getting that puck anyway. It was going to be intercepted, but they had their chances to win. Everybody knows this at this point. We have said it. Literally, like, it doesn't matter if it was when Deej was on this show, when it was just Endo and I, when Sin's been here, when we've had guests on the show. Everybody knows this. The officiating standards in the NHL are garbage, especially in the playoffs, especially in a close game, in overtime. Exactly. And there is not... Look, it is playoff hockey. If your team loses, yeah, you can probably find examples of officiating fucking you over. That's how it works. Unless you're Nashville and you get barnstormed by Colorado, you can pretty much find an example in every loss. That's just how it works. Are there Bruins fans who have complained about the officiating in Carolina? Yes. Are there Canes fans who think that the Bruins are getting biased calls when they're at home? Yes. That's just how it works. It's garbage all around. There are enough examples as to why the Leafs lost this game. They go down 0-2. And then they didn't take advantage in overtime. And let's be honest, I mean, Endo, I feel like you probably feel the same way. They should have lost in regulation because Brandon Hagel missed a wide open fucking net with like 5 minutes to go in the third period.
Oh yeah. This is like the moment of that I can talk about like this team realistically, because the whole entire year is talking about how they're, wait till they get to the playoffs and maybe they could do it this year, and they have the opportunity and they just blow it, dude. Like, come on. Like, I was sitting here with Paulina next to me just watching the game, and then they scored. I'm like, yeah, I'm mad. And then she's like, why are you mad? And I said, like, because like they know they can, but they just can't. Oh my god, it's hard to deal with as a Leafs fan right now, because you have the opportunity now. Now it's 8. Just make it one more, lose one more game, so that way you tied with 50 Cent for how many times you've been shot in the chest during a qualifying game. Because holy shit, if we get 9, do we get 1 bye for next year? Like, is this going to happen? Like, get 9 to get the next one free? Like, oh my god, man. Like, I could go on for hours, but I don't want to because they don't want to give it any more of the time. Ooh, yeah.
As much as we said for the Panthers, like, okay, you have to prove it, the Leafs are obviously...
Yeah.
The Leafs are obviously there.
It's bigger for them,
It's just...
They are the market. Like, they're the hockey market. And they have all that talent. They're hyped up year after year after year after year. Sometimes undeservingly, now definitely deservingly. Like, you have Matthews and Marner, who are obviously still incredible, and now they've added a two-way game. Holy shit! But why are you in this situation again? Why didn't you close it out in 6? Why'd you let yourself go down to nothing? Like,
And if people are like, oh, but Kerfoot blew the game, trying to use the Jake Gardner example.
Every year they have a new scapegoat. The fans find a new scapegoat. Like, at some point, just fucking get it done. Like, and this is a bit like of, my own past traumas with stacked Sharks teams doing the same shit as this. President's Trophy, first round exit. Second round exit. Like, holy shit. Like, this team, in my lifetime, they've had 2 conference finals appearances, 1 cup appearance. And if you look at some of the fucking teams that we had on the ice, and some of the, like, should have been more. Like, and you should have probably won a cup, but...
Not to make it about the Sharks, but to Sin's point really quickly, you look at some of those Sharks teams. 06-07, 51 wins, second round loss. 49 wins, second round loss. 53 wins, first round loss. 51 wins, conference finals lost. 48 wins, conference final loss. 51 wins, first round loss.
Yeah, I'm telling, like, that is the Sharks. That was my life.
So, I think the reason why you can connect it, obviously, is the Leafs are, staring down the barrel of that potentially being a reality. You don't want to jump the gun of wasted potential. But at the same time, how far off are they from that already? Like, you look at, last year against the Habs. Old John Tavares got hurt. You still have a better team.
Yeah.
You look at the Columbus loss. Oh, this, that, and the other. You look at all 3 Bruins losses, as we'll just continue to turn the knife into Endo's heart as he has to step away for a second. But as much as Game 7 for the Oilers is huge, and the result of that can completely shake up the league, this is the result, or lack thereof, if you're the Leafs, that shakes up this league.
Yeah.
What happens to Tampa if they lose?
Nothing.
what pieces potentially get moved, or do they just, hey, we're going to enjoy the rest of the off season and we'll be back next year because fuck you.
It doesn't matter.
We're the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Tampa first round exit. You just won 2 cups. Like, yeah, it's disappointing, but it's also a goddamn team which is stacked as hell too, and who needs to get out of that first round. Like, if you're a Tampa fan, like, yeah, it sucks, but like, once you let the bitterness of defeat leave, you get to look back on back-to-back Stanley Cups, dude. And stacked ass, and you still have a great team in front of you. Like come back next year. Like, you still have shots. You still have Vasilevsky.
The only casualties off of that roster this year will be Andre Palat and Nick Paul, maybe Jan Ruda as well. Yep. That's not insurmountable to recover from and get right back to where they've been.
Depth is replaceable. Not necessarily good depth, but if you don't get out of the first round, is that good depth? Look elsewhere. Look, find yourself another Goodrow.
Palat's been top line for them, 4 points in 5 games.
You said Palat. Sorry, I missed Palat.
Yeah, so like Nick Paul, Andre Palat.
Oh, I didn't even hear Palat.
Yeah. Yeah, so Palat's the big name that they'll lose, but at the same time, can they not overcome losing Andre Palat? I think they can.
Yeah, they can probably.
He's a really goddamn good player.
Yeah, you can pick up someone in the offseason who can do something.
Yeah,
if
you can
not
get
better.
William Nylander. When he inevitably gets booted, I'm just saying
someone's gonna go, and all the boomers hate William Nylander, even though he's done amazing work this offseason and in the regular season. I think it's still
I haven't liked this playoffs. I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been a couple plays involving him that I've distinctly not liked. Him stopping skating multiple times on like potential icings, like one of them which he could absolutely win the race, shocked me. I was like, how the fuck do you not skate? He resigned himself to that being an icing, wanting to save his fucking energy when he could have probably beat that out. That one shocked me. But
so
again,
that's all right.
Because we went a little bit over time today, and Endo has to bounce in a few moments. And we can still talk about some of the things with the Leafs. Endo, how do you think you're going to be feeling on next Tuesday's show? If you had to guess. Are you Steve Dangle, full belief, passion, let's go? Or is that history just too much to overlook?
I might have to go trade my goalie stuff and get a new set of gear because I don't want to associate with the blue and white anymore. This is the best team they've honestly had on roster on paper within this whole time span of not being able to make it past the first round, and you can't do it. Like, I don't know if I like the Leafs. I'm more of a hockey fan than I am a Leaf fan, realistically. And I don't know if I can associate myself with that team because it's just, why would I want to break my heart every single goddamn year? You blue ball me. I'm getting blue balled in my favorite team. I don't like. I can't do it anymore. I can't. My heart. Took my heart can't take it. I'm 24. I have a heart condition. My heart literally cannot take it.
Well, we'll let you get out of here. I hope for your sake, obviously, that the Leafs get this done. But at least if they don't, you'll have time to process your grief before Tuesday's show.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, and feel free to bounce. Buddy. Enjoy your birthday.
Remember,
Sid and I will.
Remember, chat, use promo code Tougie for 20% off Manscaped. I'm still gonna show this. You know what? Let's go. Buy the spherical deodorant in memory of me if I don't come back.
Cylindrical
for the next podcast. Yeah. See you guys
later.
All right. So, Sin, in terms of wrapping up the Leafs talk, then really quickly, we kind of mentioned what happens to Tampa. Mm-hmm. What happens to Toronto?
I mean, they're moving a major piece. They have to. There's no more scapegoats. They've moved a major piece. Like at times, like Gardner was at one point a piece.
Yeah.
They're moving someone. It'll probably be Nylander, simply because you don't
cheaper,
and you don't move Matthews or Marner. Like they're the last ones.
And Tavares might be too tough to move at 11.
Tavares is so tough. No one's taking that, especially with his not quite earning it. Matthews Marner, though, I gotta say, like, Marner has impressed me a shit ton. Like, had he still maintained the offense only shit, I'd say move his ass if you can. some team's going to take a chance at that cap hit. But with the way he's developed his two-way game, you can't move him. I'd say it's...
I feel like that has to be the frustrating thing for Leafs fans. Because the question was, will Matthews and Marner show up because they've struggled to do so at other times? They've shown up, and they're still going 7.
It's tough.
Nylander could be on the way out. Mikheyev's deal's up. Defensively, Giordano, Lyubushkin, and then Jack Campbell's a UFA. They have Peter Mrazek on the books for 2 more years at $3.8 million.
Oh, man.
There are changes that have to be made regardless, but holy shit, does the microscope, like the heat from the microscope, intensify
You can't move that.
if they don't make it out of round 1?
Mrazek's too injury prone. I don't think you can move that deal unless you retain, which why would you retain? Or why would you want
They have a first-round pick, and I genuinely think, call up Arizona.
Yeah.
Call up a team like that.
There you go.
We need to get rid of this deal.
Yeah.
There's no such thing, in my opinion, as an untradeable contract. You just have to incentivize it enough.
That's very true.
Yeah, and for anyone who's like, oh, maybe they could get away with a second, the teams are going to hold them over the coals.
Yeah. Like, look, you
so.
need to do this. We know you need to do this. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But yeah, so yeah, I think but major changes will come if they fail again. It has to. It has to be a core piece on the way out. They can't just find a scapegoat and move him. They can't just move a Kerfoot because of a couple plays. You have to look at the bigger picture. And as good as Nylander is, that's someone who you maybe try to move. But I don't like. It's just like a clean house move without honestly cleaning house. You're cleaning out like one big important piece of furniture, and maybe you bring in more aggregate. Maybe you bring like sign Mikheyev, give him a bridge deal, play him with keep him with that Tavares. Yeah,
It's just so many questions.
You can get a couple people for what Nylander's worth, middle 6, but like, yeah, it's. I hope like hell they don't have to answer them after Saturday.
Rooting for the Leafs, but
I have Lightning in 7. That's still my prediction. But yeah,
I think I had them too.
Yeah, me and you did. I think Endo said, I can't remember exactly, but his last prediction was Leafs in 6, Lightning in 7, and
indeed. Final 2 series to talk about really quickly. We will go to Canes and Bruins first. The Canes won Game 5, 5-1 on home ice. The Bruins won Game 6, 5-2 on home ice.
You're making me look fucking stupid. I said like Canes in 5 or 6, man.
Marchand and Coyle keep stepping up. Eric Hollis scored his first goal of the series last night. Always believed in you, Eric. And Derek Forbort has no joke been the Bruins' best defenseman in this series. I can't fucking believe it, but it's true. The home team has won every single game, every single time in convincing fashion. Game 7, Saturday, in Carolina. If the Bruins win, they will set a new record for most Game 7s won in NHL history. If Carolina wins, they'll tie the record for the longest Game 7 winning streak. It would be their 6th win in a row in a Game 7.
Is one of those including the Cup win?
I think so, yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, man, I've put up those little mini kind of, not even like LFR style, but like the little mini reviews that I always put out there towards the start of that I record at the start of a stream and putting those up on YouTube. So I don't have too many thoughts on this game because in general, I don't have too many thoughts on this, aside from the fact that once upon a time, the Bruins looked like they were going to get embarrassed, if not, have you be completely right, 4 or 5 tops. And then after Game 5, I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go again, because, again, they don't do anything in Carolina. But Game 6, they score first for the first time in the series. That's embarrassing. I know, how fucking ridiculous is that? I, at the very least, am happy that they took a really good Hurricanes team to 7 games. Yes, there is pressure. It's not quite as magnified as Leafs Lightning. There is pressure on the Bruins to do well because they are towards, if not right at, the end of the Bergeron road. It's fairly obvious. And, 3 Cup finals in that era, only won 1 of them. It's rough. It's the way it goes. But I don't know how to read this because as much as the Bruins have pressure on them, the Hurricanes have a lot of pressure on them too. because it's been, what, 3 seasons now of them being the dark horse to make it to a cup final?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how many years now has it been where you've had people be like, yeah, I could see Carolina making the Stanley Cup final this year? It's been more than a handful. Like, that started before the bubble. 2019, they made it to the conference finals. They were swept by the Bruins. 2020, bubble, lose to the Bruins in round 1. And then last year, they lost to the Lightning in round 2. Both of these teams have a lot of pressure on their shoulders here. I don't know. Like, is that home? Like, we see it in NHL all the time in franchise mode. We make fun of it. The home team winning trend. It's like, okay, is it going to snap, or is the home team going to win every single one of these goddamn series, or every single one of these games in this series? I am obviously hoping. I said Bruins in 7 on this podcast. I'm hoping for the best. My only thought: don't get blown out. I would rather a heartbreaking overtime loss than to see them lose 5-1 in Carolina again. Like, please, God. Like, make those fans. And people have been shitting on Hurricanes fans. Fuck that. That's a great fan base. That's a great atmosphere in that building. Make those fans sweat for the first time. Just once. Make them think, oh shit, we might not win on home ice in this series. Because in all 3 other games, outside of like a couple of minutes, they haven't had to sweat. Make them sweat. If you're going to lose, make them fucking earn it and make those fans feel anxious. At the very least, that's all I'm asking for.
Yeah.
How do you think this is going?
Man, it's always tough for me. When I see a trend, I'm like, eventually the trend ends. That's just how things go. But it's so hard to determine when. Like, it seems like every time you think it's got to end at this point, sometimes it continues. So I don't fucking know. For you, I want Boston to win. I can throw my prediction out the window. I've kind of given up on getting any of the games right. I'm just kind of hoping to get most of the winners right for the first round, which I'm looking pretty good so far. But yeah, I think it's going to be tough. The Bruins have to find something that they haven't found yet on the road, and that's tough to do in a Game 7. You already have a lot of pressure on yourself, everything you mentioned, but just as a player, just going into that moment, it's tough. But there's a lot of experience on that roster at the same time. And yeah, I don't know. It's
a Stanley Cup caliber team, potentially. Team with cup aspirations. I mean, I don't know if you want to call the Bruins a cup caliber team. I think you could see them doing it, but they're not favorites. Oh, yeah. Someone with cup aspirations is getting bounced in this series as well. And that's why it's so tough to predict. Mm-hmm. Bruins in 7. Final series to talk about because we're heading into a very important Game 6 tonight. Rangers and Penguins. The Penguins with a 3-2 series lead, but the Rangers did win Game 5 to stay alive, 5-3 on home ice. So Game 6 is tonight. However, Sidney Crosby suffered a concussion. Yeah. In Game 5, he joins Brian Dumoulin, Tristan Jarry, and potentially Rickard Rakell as the injured Pens right now. It was an elbow from Jacob Trouba. I think his history, especially this season alone, kind of, removes benefit of the doubt from some people. I didn't see it as a suspension-worthy hit in a sense, but there was no call on the ice, which is brutal. It's been that debate that we've had all season long. Intent versus, well, you did it. And I think for Trouba, unfortunate circumstances of events did end up elbowing Crosby in the face and giving him a concussion. I can understand why Pens fans are mad. Yeah. For me, the intent's not there. It should have been a penalty. Suspension, But regardless, no Sidney Crosby at the very least for Game 6 tonight.
If it's a concussion, he should stay out the rest of the series. I worry about that guy's health. I really do.
Everybody does.
I'm so worried for Crosby. But yeah, Pens get the fuck out of this series tonight. Or whenever the hell you play.
If it goes back, it is tonight. If it goes back to New York, Rangers win it.
Absolutely. They have to. Penguins can win those crazy, Game 7s on the road or elimination games on the road. But if you don't have Crosby, no, it's not happening. You got to find a way to get it done tonight. Get to whoever's in net. Probably just Shurkin. Get to him scored, play good. You need this needs to be your best all-around game and feed off the crowd and get the fuck out of this series and rest up. And hopefully Crosby can come back sometime in the next round.
I know you're missing one of the greatest players of all time, but stepping up to first-line center role is Evgeny Malkin. Don't tell me the Penguins don't have the team to be able to end this series. They do. It's just whether or not they will. And the Rangers are in that spot, similar to the Panthers, similar to the Leafs. Prove you're legit. You come back from 3-1 down just to even force Game 7, let alone win the series. You prove that.
Yeah.
So, Game 6 is tonight. Game 7 would be on Sunday. By our next podcast, we will know the full scope of the second round. And on Tuesday, if not potentially Monday, to make sure Sin's here for these important episodes, we shall see. One way or another, we'll give our thoughts on round 2 and what's going to happen. But for now, I think that does it for us. It's almost like Christmas. It's the anticipation of just what the hell are we going to get?
Yeah.
And then knowing, like, okay, if it's this, then this happens afterwards. But if I get this, then this happens. It's just... This is one of the most, if not the most intriguing first round of the playoffs I can remember. Because there's just so much at stake in essentially every single one of these series, except for Nashville and Colorado. But even then, there were some people who would be like, but what if Nashville pushes them a little bit? They didn't. But what if they did? Every single series has been absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
And, God, I'm glad it's living up to the hype so far.
Yeah.
Sin, with that, where can the people find you throughout the weekend?
Yeah, you can find me, of course, my YouTube channel, now that my computer's all back and fixed. Vancouver Canucks series, still going strong, you can follow me on Twitter at SinFTWProd, and follow me on Instagram at Paul Cinders. Tomorrow, my single is being released on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, everything. It'll be up everywhere. And I'm very, very excited for that. Worked real hard, poured myself into my music these last couple months especially, and yeah, I'm really, really happy with how that's turned out. And yeah, I hope you guys out there give it a listen.
Make sure you do that. You can find me everywhere at Tougie24, of course. We will see you guys on the other side of the weekend. And we'll try to comfort some of you. I might need some comfort myself. After Saturday, we shall see. It's going to be interesting. Enjoy the weekend of hockey, everybody, and we'll see you next week.